You're listening to the Chuck Banks Experience on the Dog Pound Radio Network. It's yours truly, Chuck Banks. I'm live today, doing things just a little bit differently. I just wanted to try to, basically see if my equipment down here is actually working, and it appears that it's working just fine. If you can hear me over there, just let me know, that you can hear, obviously, and we'll go through that. Haven't been on in a while. I've had a lot of things going on, physically and a little bit mentally, but I don't want to be a complete drain, but I do want to talk about a few things today that might help you out. If you're a middle-aged guy like me, and you never go to the doctor, I would recommend doing so. Um, things will eventually hit you in the forehead. I do want to say thank you to the Buck donors. I'm doing the Buck Initiative. Basically, and I'll be sure to put that in the description of the video. The Buck Initiative is basically not only to help me out, but eventually I'm hoping that I'll be able to help out others that are out there in the same kind of boat as me, or going through some of the similar situations that my family has had to endure over the last few months and years. But kind of going back with that, where did it start? Well, I worked too hard. Can I say that? I embraced the grind so much that I failed to see, the outcomes that could take place. But there were a lot of things that are put in there. First and foremost, I want to say that every issue or every problem or every failure that I've ever had is my fault. It's not the world around me. It's not my, the guy down the street that you got in a fight with last month. I take full credit for everything that's happened to me within my life, and I think and until we take ownership, and we're never going to be able to grow, we're never going to be able to heal, and that's just kind of the start of it. Now, it was in February, not this past February, but a year ago, last February. If that sounds strange, it kind of is. I had a stroke, and I was hospitalized. You can only imagine the financial strain. Thank God that I have a great insurance policy, and I work with a wonderful school district, Fort Madison Community School District. I can't give them enough thanks. My bosses, Patrick and Adrian. They and it goes on and on, man. Trisha Hager, all those people that work for Fort Madison, they have truly stood behind me and helped me along the way. And a special shout out to my buddy Derek Doherty. And I know that he doesn't like glory, but this guy truly is the epitome of what every person should be. This guy listens. He doesn't just brush you off. He looks you in the eye. And you know what? If you were to call this guy at 5 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, I don't even care. He would get up and he would give you the shirt off his back, because that's the kind of guy he is. And again, I sound like a broken record on some of the stories that I've told over the years, but um, he's a great dude. And without him, without my wife, without my beagles, for crying out loud, Leo and Loki, and I'll talk about stories on those guys here a little bit later. But without them, man, I can't even imagine what what life would be. I just can't. So I had that stroke. I went to numerous trips up to Iowa City. Thought I was going to be on the mend. They did discover that I had a bicuspid aortic valve with an aneurysm. And those of you that don't know what that is, that's your main valve up there. Normally you have three flaps. Mine has two. And so we were able to discover that. We had a whole, it was called a PFO closure. They went in my heart and this little umbrella thing and pulled it back. And, it got my ticker going, normal. Was on the mend. I think it was. Oh, I gotta try to remember here. I think it was like I don't know, October. They said that or no, it was in December. So I gotta go there. December of 2024, they said don't have to see you for a year. And I was excited, man. I thought that I was finally over this health thing. And then about 6 weeks ago, I had an incident. I was at the school. They take care of me so well there, man. Not only the staff, but the students and all of them, the community. And my wife took me out the hospital. Ended up taking an ambulance ride up to Burlington, and they said I had an ischemic stroke, so it was my second one. Um, on Friday this past week, can't even. I think it was Friday the 11th. I was up in Iowa City, seeing my great doctors again, getting a checkup because they just wanted to check in. They were going to talk about putting this loop recorder in my heart or in my skin, and it consistently checks your heart rate and things like that. That might have been the scariest moment of my life thus far. And I'll tell you, I've had some doozies of things happen to me in my life, but I was sitting there and I was listening to my doctor talk about, what the loop recorder is going to do, what it's going to be required, how it's going to be no big deal. You're going to be in and out. I immediately, the whole world started spinning. I'm looking around and, I'm still kind of hearing her, but I was kind of out of my body a little bit, in my opinion. And, I was sweating. My heart was doing some weird stuff. And I told my doctor, I said, hey, man, I think I'm going to pass out. And then, I was put down. I woke up an hour later. Uh, I was probably in and out of consciousness. I really can't remember, to be honest with you, but I was up. I was downstairs in the ER, and I remember the nurse handing the phone over to me, and she called my wife, and she said, "Oh my gosh," and I said, "Honey," I, s- I said, "This isn't my fault." She says, "Really?" Um, it's and really it's one of those things where, just when we think we get past a barrier or a point of no return, boom, something happens. And I forgot to tell everybody that about a month ago, the transmission goes out in the Honda. So that's going to be a $2,200, you know what I mean? Whatever, it's the story of life, right? It's what we do as Americans. We live and embrace the grind. But anyway, I was I was obviously working in the classroom. After the last stroke, I didn't take any time off. I came right back, and that's where I needed to be because that's what truly heals me is being around those kids, being able to make a difference in the world. That's the big thing. Tennis season hits. Things are going decent, but man, so I'm literally putting in about 80 hours a week is my guess, with my door dashing, teaching, coaching. Um, it, I would say at least 80 hours. And when I'm home, man, I try to spend as much time as I can with them beagles and my family and love on them, and then I get really tired. So anyway, this incident happens on Friday, and that's why I'm coming up with the Buck Initiative. If you want to donate a buck, you can Venmo me. It's Chuck-Banks-2 on Venmo. Or you can send on PayPal, coachingcultureandathletics at gmail.com. That's coachingcultureandathletics at gmail.com. PayPal. I don't do the Cash App thing yet, but if you want to donate a buck, you want to help out a guy that man, it seems like the world is kind of passing me by a little bit, and I'll talk about morality a little bit later here. So anyway, yesterday, I got up with the wife, and we go to Mount Pleasant. I'm walking around Walmart. I'm getting winded real easy, which is weird. I did contact my doctor. In that little portal, and I said, "Hey, man, I'm uh, it's hurting me to be able to not be able to do the things that I think I can do, and you're slowing down a little bit." But there, I Excuse me. I'm not going to cut that out because I want everything to be raw. And, kind of back to that hospital, the ER, one of the nurses said, maybe this will get them to replace the aortic valve in your heart that's bad, that's bicuspid, and we can then get you on the road to healing. So I thought that's what was going to happen, in conversations with the wife back and forth. And then finally, they come in, they say they're going to discharge me. So they discharged me, and I drove home. Uh, Really kind of a bizarre experience. Like when I was going under, it felt like it was like 10,000 pounds of bricks kind of pushing me here. I couldn't breathe. Um, but hopefully I can remember some of that stuff a little bit later on. But it was a very traumatic experience for me. But anyway, yesterday again, a little bit winded. Today, I even tried to go out and DoorDash a little bit. I worked about an hour and a half, winded. I can sit here and talk about it, which the Buck Initiative might help me continue to bring you quality insight into that generality. So here I am. I have a faulty bicuspid aortic valve. My what do they call it? I don't even know what they call it. They put it on your heart, check it. It was abnormal. Um, the good news is that eventually I can get this fixed and I'll be back large and in charge. The bad news is I can't work as much. Thus the dollar initiative. And again, I'm not begging. I'm not one of those guys that'll go out and do that. But I'll tell you, man, uh, the things that I was able to pay off Iowa City, that bill about 3 weeks before I had this incident, and then I had this incident, and then I was still trying to pay off high credit card percentages because of the travel and things like that when I was in the hospital the first time. So anyway, when if God continues to bless me with this dollar initiative, once I get my crap paid off, I'm going to pay off others, and I think that's truly what the world's all about. And I've had former players, parents, current player, current parent donate, friends donate, and I tell you, it brings a tear to my eye, to even take something like that, I guess. I've always been one of those loners that kind of sit back and kind of kept to myself and didn't really ask for help when I needed it. Especially mentally, when you look at a lot of the mental things that have taken place throughout my life. And I was always the guy that had to figure it out himself. And at the end of the day, man, we have to embrace our culture of the people that are around us. And when we need help, we need to ask it, whether it's mentally, physically, financially, whatever, especially in this day and age. Um, Today brought a tear to my eye, man. I hugged one of my current players, and I still get choked up, even thinking about it. But just what that young man's becoming already is truly amazing, and it's inspiring. And a former player, putting in there, putting in teacher appreciation to know that I've touched the lives of my former and current students is truly amazing to me. Sometimes we don't see it like that, especially when we're in the grind, teaching and educating, and all the fires that we have to put out on a daily basis, whether it be students, staff, or your administration. I think the biggest thing is I was able to look up and say, "Hey, God, man, you got to lead me in the right direction." And it's amazing when you truly listen to God, and just think of all the fruits and the we're going to sow some great seeds, and we're going to reap the rewards and benefits. And I think I've done that with a lot of my students. But I want to continue to do that and embrace it even fuller. And that's kind of what it's about. Now, mortality, I've been talking about this doggone mortality thing for nearly 20 years. I've always been interested in knowing what's going to go on the other side. Thus death to saga, thus death to show. I've done a lot of podcasts when you look at paranormal related spirituality, religion, man. Everything that I could possibly find about, the next level, um, I did. And, truly at the end of the day, it brought me back to Christ. It brought me back to who I am. But mortality, too many times I walk by people, whether it's in the hallway and, it might be a staff member, might be a student, might be a janitor or whatever, might be somebody, in Burger King that I walk by and, or the guy walking his dog down the street this morning in Fort Madison, and he's looking at his phone. He isn't even enjoying or embracing the moment with that puppy that's you know, going to cease to exist or go into that next light way before he is. We don't embrace the moments anymore. And that's what I'm trying to say, man. We have to quit looking at the old mighty dollar all the time. Now, I know we have to have it. I mean, I wouldn't be doing the Buck Initiative or, doing the podcast or out there door dashing or hustling if I didn't need it. But it's like we become so addicted to the mighty buck that we forget about the time that we have. It's not about money. It's about time. It's about being in the moment and don't becoming so overwhelmed in the past that it destroys you and creates depression, or don't get too busy looking so far into the future that you gain some anxiety when you miss something or miss a, I don't know, a deadline or something like that. We have to stop that, man. We got to live right now. I cannot say that enough. And my mortality, I know that my hours and days on the earth are eventually are going to come to an end. And I'm, it's a struggle when you get older and you have health issues and things like that are um, questioning you to think about, like questioning you to think even think like that, right? Um, but I'm going to try to share every day a little bit on the Chuck Banks experience, or whether it's Dog Pound Radio carrying and following the Fort Madison Bloodhounds, or Lee County, whatever. It's my goal to basically share my story with the world, and hopefully I can reach at least one soul. You know, hopefully I can reach at least one soul. I'm gonna I'm gonna sow so we can reap the rewards, right? I wanna say God bless to everybody. Also, on that dollar initiative, I also have books. I have Dog Mentality: The Story of Mediocrity to Becoming Elite. You can check it out. It's a book that's that I created. I was going to do basically talks on it after or before my first stroke. But and basically, if you want to get out of this situation in the rut, ask yourself this question: do you want to simply exist, or do you want to make a difference in not only your life but the lives of others? And I want to live it. I want to give a little bit back, and and I just want to find, you know, some peace and gratitude with the life that I've lived thus far, and I can continue to do that. I hope you've enjoyed the Chuck Banks experience. Love you. If you want to double check, you can check out. If you want to donate, it's a buck. You can Venmo me, Chuck.Banks-2. Love y'all.